So, you got a movie for me about the EuroVision Song Contest? Yes, sir, I do. See, this movie takes place in Iceland and focuses on this guy named Lars Eriksson from the small fishing town of Husavik. Eriksson? Yeah, as a play on Eriksson, because his dad's name is Eric. And what's Lars's deal? He's part of this band called Fire Saga, who no one likes except for this one song called Ya Ya Ding Dong. I'm not sure why a song about doorbells would be so popular, but go on. Also in the band is Sigrid. She's Lars's childhood best friend and love interest, and also possibly his sister. Flirting with incestuous subtext is tight. So anyway, Lars and Sigrid are worried that their town is dying. And so they enter Songvakeppnin, the contest to determine who represents Iceland at EuroVision. And so they win? No, they come in last place, and so they sit outside all depressed while the other contestants attend the after party on a boat in the harbor. And Katiana, the winner of Songvakeppnin, actually has a chance at winning EuroVision this year, so everyone's real excited about that. But then the boat explodes and everyone dies. Oh my god, so this here is like Iceland's 9/11. I didn't realize this movie was so dark. Upwards of 20 people, including many of the nation's most famous singers, die in a terrorist attack in a nation with only a few 100,000 people that has literally never seen terrorism. Would that not dominate the news and politics for months on end? Lars and Sigrid are the main characters, so we have to follow them. Well, okay then. So then Lars and Sigrid travel to Scotland to compete in EuroVision. Wait, so Iceland just sends their worst performers to compete on the international stage? They aren't withdrawing from EuroVision out of respect for all the other performers who died, or redoing Songvakeppnin to avoid a national embarrassment on stage? Okay, who's in charge of Iceland's EuroVision committee? Unclear. Anyway, we then meet Alexander Lemtov, the competitor from Russia, and he owns a mansion in Scotland full of sculptures of men with highly visible dongs. Oh, is that what Ya Ya Ding Dong refers to? Maybe. So Alexander invites all of the EuroVision competitors to a party at the mansion. And what happens at the party? Everyone's going to take part in a musical number, you know, where they all spontaneously sing and dance to past EuroVision hits. Without rehearsing any of it? Yeah. Okay, is this a Disney fantasy musical? It's a Disney fantasy musical. That's going to come up later, I think. So what else happens at the party? Alexander introduces Lars to Mita Xenakis, the competitor from Greece, and so now there's going to be a little love square going on between Lars, Sigrid, Alexander, and Mita. Oh, a super predictable and distracting side quest? But okay, Lars wants to focus more on the contest than on his and Sigrid's relationship. Sigrid spends the night with Alexander, but they don't do anything. Lars spends the night with Mita, but they don't do anything. Sigrid walks in on Lars and Mita. Lars sees Sigrid writing a love song that he thinks is for Alexander, but is actually for Lars. And how long does this all take? The entire second act of the movie. Oh. So Lars and Sigrid finally compete in EuroVision, but their performance goes even more badly than people expect. So Lars leaves and goes back to Iceland to return to his job as a fisherman with his dad. And Sigrid doesn't want Lars to go, so she breaks up with him in protest. Ah, I see the love four-sided thingy isn't done yet. No, it's still going. In fact, Sigrid finds out that Alexander is gay, but that's a big no-no in Russia, so he can't tell anyone. Luckily, Mita hears this and offers to take him to Greece to help him find his happy place. Okay, but what's Lars doing? He's out fishing with his dad, Eric, talking to him about Sigrid, but then it turns out that Iceland didn't lose at EuroVision. In fact, they made it to the final because everyone loved how Lars and Sigrid kept going in spite of the mishaps. Oh, wow, 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 wow. So then Lars hitches a ride with Viktor Karlsson, the governor of the Central Bank of Iceland, but it turns out that this guy is evil, and he caused the explosion on the boat that killed Katiana and everyone else. And why did he do that? Because the winner of each year's EuroVision hosts the contest next year, and Viktor was worried that Iceland might win with Katiana, and then they'd have to host next year's contest, which they can't afford. Couldn't he have just told EuroVision, hey, we can't afford to host the contest, so if we win, can another country host on our behalf? Seems like that would have been easier. But then the movie couldn't happen. Anyway, after hearing about Lars and Sigrid's popularity, Viktor tries to kill Lars. Well, it's going to be difficult to escape from that situation. Actually, it's going to be super easy. Barely an inconvenience. Oh, really? You know about elves from Icelandic folklore who live inside hills in the countryside? Well, in this movie, they're real. You were right. It is a Disney fantasy again. Anyway, the elves kill Victor, which lets Lars get back to Scotland in time to perform. Although to get from the airport in Scotland to the EuroVision stage, he has to hitch a ride with some American tourists who drive at a dangerously high speed through the narrow city streets. How do they evade the police and security? What? Oh, the police and security aren't there outside of a huge competition with famous and important people from all over Europe. Anyway, Lars makes it to the competition just as he and Sigrid are supposed to start, and he persuades her to sing her love song instead of their previously chosen song, and so they do that, and Sigrid hits the Spiorg note, which can only be sung when someone is being their truest self. And do they win? No, they're disqualified for changing their song, but it's okay because all of Iceland and EuroVision love them and they're back together as a couple. So now what do? They go back to Husavik and start a family, and they continue to play music with Ya Ya Ding Dong still being the crowd's favorite. Also, Lars's dad and Sigrid's mom get married. Well, that's never going to not be weird. My thoughts exactly. Well, this movie sounds pretty good, but I don't think it'll be too popular in Iceland, given how many national stereotypes we're cramming into here.